Okay. So classes are over next week, you guys, you know that?
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Are you freaked out by it a little bit? Yeah, next week, that's it, you're done. So officially the session ends on Sunday, but our last class is going to be Thursday. Because we don't have class on Friday or anything. Make sense? And then you get a week off for fall break and then you get to start it all over again. Fun times. I'll try not to stand in that weird spot in the floor that makes it feedback. Okay, so in the back where you usually do your attendance and sign in, there are some papers printed out of the assignment for the letter for next year's cohort. So if you'd like a paper copy, go ahead and grab it on your way out. It's back there on the table. But we're gonna go over it in class. It's gonna be due on Sunday, like our usual day and time. But let's take a quick look. So the class is ending next week. We've really come so far, and you guys have learned so much, okay? You probably, hopefully, learned things about college and yourself, and you kind of still remember what it was like to be here on that first day, right? And kind of how nerve-wracking, how many questions you had, and hopefully we've answered a lot of those questions. So all of that knowledge, though, that you've gained can be valuable for the next cohort. So imagine that you're sitting down with someone who's brand new to the university, who's here or away from home for the first time, and what would you tell them? Okay, so some of the example questions I have on here are, how is high school different than college? Okay, how are my responsibilities going to change once I get to college? How did you figure out how to manage your time? How did you figure out how to achieve your goals? How did you figure out if insert your major here really was the right fit for you? Maybe you came in as undecided or interdisciplinary studies and then you switched. How did you know what was the best fit for you? Are your learning styles different in college than what you did in high school? How did you figure out the best ways to study and prepare for your classes? Who do you go to on campus when you need help with academic stuff or personal stuff? How did you figure out what classes you need to take and when to take them? And how did you figure out what your next couple of years until you get out of here are going to look like? Okay. For this assignment, I'd like you to answer at least 3 of these questions, okay? If you have other questions, that's fine as well. Okay, maybe you had some personal questions, maybe to do with academic or athletics or academics. Go ahead, you can add them. These are just a suggestion to get you started. Put yourself back at that first day when you had all those questions and see what those questions are and how you can answer them now with a little bit of experience under your belt. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to write a letter to the next set of new people. We're going to answer these questions, provide some advice, some tips, some tricks that you learned over this past session, okay, in order for them to be successful, okay? Again, at least 3 of the questions above, or insert your own, but answer at least 3 of them. You can answer more if you like. You do have 2 options, okay? Option 1, a paper, about 2 pages. It's got some requirements here, but I really want you to focus on, if you have the paper on the back, for number 2, okay, because we all know how to write paper. So number 2 says to record a 5 to 6 minute video answering your questions, okay? Look, she's like, no, I'm writing a paper, okay? If you're going to record a video, record it as if you were talking to those students. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to staff. Don't talk to faculty advisors. Talk to the student. Okay? It's going to be like a peer one-on-one. Please plan what you're going to say before you hit the record button. Okay? You don't need to edit out mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to know a whole lot about video editing in order to submit this, okay? Sometimes the mess ups are the fun part, right? Record your video in a quiet place. Make sure you can hear what's going on. Okay, make sure you can hear what you're saying. Try to get it between 5 and 6 minutes. I don't want a 20-minute like admissions video, okay? 5 minutes. And last, the easiest thing to do is probably going to be to upload that video to YouTube and then send me the link in a Word document and submit the Word document, okay? When you upload a video to YouTube, you can set it to private, and so anyone that only has the link can access it. If you don't want it to be public, that's fine, just as long as I have access to it. You can put it on your Google Drive and share it that way, but again, please just make sure I have access to it, okay? So either way is acceptable. They're both due by Sunday. Okay, so either a video or like a 2-page paper to write it out. Make sense? Questions? No? Not at all? Okay. Let's go on to our PowerPoint for today. So this week we're talking a little bit about professionalism and etiquette. We're going to start out with email today. And then tomorrow we are going to look into just online etiquette in general, which is especially prevalent now with COVID and everyone doing a lot of things online. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to wrap up the week by talking about Google Drives and Google Docs and how to share using those. And then Thursday, Ms. Newsom's going to be back again, and hopefully we're going to finish up our life plans so that we can get them submitted before the deadline, right? Yeah, that's our goal. Okay. So with email, your Carolina University email, you can download the app on your phone. I do suggest you actually download the Gmail app, okay? The Gmail app works on a push system, so as soon as an email comes into your inbox, you're notified on your phone immediately, okay? The other way is a pull system, and typically your Android mail and your Apple mail, they'll go and check the server every 30 minutes. So there's going to be a time lapse between when you get an email in your inbox and when it gets notified on your phone, okay? So I do suggest the Gmail app. Another thing I do suggest is keep your personal email in another app. It's easier, okay? If you want to turn off the notifications for your Carolina University email, you can, and not turn off the rest. I have my Gmail app with just my Carolina University email. My personal is in the Apple Mail app. It also eliminates the possibility of you accidentally using your personal email to email professors, okay? Because we've talked about that, it's in all the syllabus. Professors don't have to answer if it comes from a Gmail, okay? Especially if it comes from some wonky Gmail. Does anyone have like wonky ones from middle school? No? Yeah, sure, I'm just kidding. So why is email etiquette important? So right now, especially with COVID and online, email is one of the most popular means of communication, okay? But with the written word and an email, miscommunication, much, much higher, okay? When you're talking verbally with someone, you have things like body language and tone and facial expressions, right? When you're reading that in an email, you don't have any of that. So it's better to be safe than sorry, and we want to make sure that you're getting your message across. You want a successful, timely, and positive exchange. Okay, you don't want it to turn negative. And it is going to reflect your work ethic, your professionalism, and who you are as a person. We'll see some examples of this later on. So, but the first thing that you have to understand is when to send an email, okay? Does this message need to be communicated through an email? Simple, quick questions are not going to be answered quick enough in an email. You may want to stop by someone's office, make a phone call, okay? Emails are not always the most time-sensitive way of getting things answered. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Always use your school email account. Your school email account is professional. It has your last name, your first initial, and then sometimes a number after it. Okay, God bless you. Watch out for those unprofessional emails like schoolsucks@gmail.com or coolgirl2002. Have you guys seen those? Yeah, I've gotten emails from a few of them. And I'm like, okay. Professors, again, are only going to respond to your Carolina University email. They don't have to respond to anything else. Okay? It is more professional, especially when you start doing your job hunting and things like that and sending resumes. Okay, it's going to ensure that your message is legitimate and not spam. So one thing I have noticed is when I do get an email from a student not from the Carolina University email, it does mark it as spam. The odds of me getting to that email then, slim to none. Okay, so you want to make sure you end up in an inbox and not in someone's spam folder. Next subject line, I get several, and by several I mean a lot, of emails in a day that have no subject. So I don't know what that email is about. I don't know how fast it's going to be, and those are usually the last ones I open. Okay, so your recipient should be able to look at that subject line and know what the message is about. Now, I'm not saying write a paragraph or anything like that, okay? Couple words. Include course information if you're a professor. So, good example of a subject line. GT103-5110 AM-letter to cohort. I can look at that and know, well, A, you're one of my students, right? B, I know what section you're in, what lecture you're in. And also, I know what your question has to deal with. It has to do with the letter to cohort assignment, okay? Just giving a little bit of information because a lot of times that subject is all that you're going to read right off the bat. Greet your contacts properly. So A, include a greeting. Do not dive right in and use first names. I did have someone in this course at the very beginning, week 1, on my email said, hey, Jennifer, I don't know you. Took me back a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, who are you? Okay. When in doubt with a professor, use the greeting professor. Okay. Professor is a great word. It's unisex, number 1. Okay. So if you don't know if it's a male, female, use professor. If you don't know if they have a doctorate or not, usually professor is okay. Okay. So instead of trying to figure out, is this a Ms., a Miss, a Mrs., a Mr., a doctor, just use the word professor, okay? It's very respectful to say, hey, professor, I need help, okay? Introduce yourself, especially at the beginning of a session. So beginning of session 2, maybe one of your first correspondences to one of your newer professors. Explain who you are. Dear professor, I am Joe. I am in your 10 a.m. lecture class. I attend in person and I have a question, okay? It's gonna help your reader or your professors connect names to faces, especially if it's a large class, okay? Most of the times we just get a whole list of names and then we get a whole list of faces and I might need those connection points. So it's good to help. Be polite. Use words like please, thank you, okay? I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten that say, I need assignment 1. I need $1 million. Okay? What can you say instead? When you have a chance, could you please send me the information for assignment 1, the profile update assignment? I really appreciate it. Thanks. Okay? I need assignment 1. There's a good chance I'm going to answer that email saying, oh, it's posted in e-learning under the assignment 1, just go take a look. Okay? So be polite as you go through. Be brief. Nobody wants to read a short novel. Okay? Introduce yourself, get to the issue, Tell them what attempts you have made to correct the issue. Okay? Because if your professor's first response is going to be check e-learning, okay? You can cut that all out. Say, hey, professor, I checked in e-learning under X, Y, and Z. I didn't see what I needed. I did not see the handout you gave out in class. Could you direct me to the right location? Okay? Because if you say I don't have assignment 1, what am I going to say? Go look at e-learning. Okay? Stay away from extra and unnecessary information and ask for the help that you're needing. Dear professor, I forgot to hand in my journal assignment. Send. Okay. What do you want me to do? Not walk into a desk? Okay. A better email would be, Professor, I forgot to turn in my journal assignment. Could you please open it for me so that I can turn it in by midnight tomorrow? No problem. Click. It's done. But hey, I forgot my journal assignment. Not sure what you want me to do. Okay? Be specific with what help you're requesting. More than likely, my response back is going to be like, and what do you want me to, how do you want me to help? Be positive and friendly, okay? Professional does not always mean robotic, okay? So you don't have to sound like a pre-canned email or robotic. Something to point out, contractions are going to come across more friendly than the individual words. Don't forget your book tomorrow. Do not forget your book tomorrow. Right? One sounds a little bit more friendly. I mean, that's one of my bad things. I don't use contractions, and so sometimes things come out harsh, and I don't mean it. But think about it. Contractions make things a little more friendly. You can add a smiley face, a wink, depending upon the tone of the email, but also take into account your relationship with whoever you're sending it to. Okay? Again, first or second email, first couple emails out of the session, you're gonna wanna be more formal. As you get to know that professor, you can be a little bit more comfortable. You'll know what they accept and what they don't. And you can be a little bit more casual with them. Be aware of the context of the situation before adding creative punctuation. If you're sending a very serious email, you might not want to put smiley faces. If you're trying to be sarcastic, put the smiley face. Okay? It's going to come across completely different to the reader. Remember, miscommunication. So, number one, what's the problem? Okay. Is everything okay? Is there something I can help you with? Completely different, right? Mean exactly the same. Please help. I get those emails all the time. Help. And that's all it says, help. Okay. Would you mind helping me with X, Y, Z? Okay. Even more importantly, be more specific. Would you mind helping me with the journal assignment? Which part? Did you not find the prompt? Can you not use the submission? Are you thinking of things to say? Could you help clarify the part in the journal prompt where you say X, Y, Z? I can answer that very quickly, right? I want to know how versus could you please tell me how? Okay? I have some problems. I get that one too. I'm having some problems. Okay, what can I help with? So I'm having some difficulty with assignment 2. Part B, I'm not sure what you want. Can you help clarify? Okay, completely different. I want to know why versus I was wondering. Or could you explain it to me more? Okay, well, which parts did you get? And do you want me to just start over? Do you want a whole like rehash of the whole lecture or just like a part of it? Bless you. I'm not sure I understood X. Could we meet to discuss it further? Okay. Again, you're trying to be as specific as possible while still being polite. Now, Keep your appearances in your emails simple, basic, readable fonts, nothing weird, okay? No images or fancy stationery options unless that has something to do with what you're talking about. The big exception to this is a signature line. Now, who has a signature line in their emails? Anybody? No. Oh my goodness. A signature line? So a signature line is something that will pop up automatically at the very bottom of every email you send, okay? Typically, it has things like your name, your email, possibly contact information, a title, a school, a major. Sometimes there's a quote. I think mine just has like my email or my name, my office location, my office phone, and like my title here, and then I think it says Carolina University. Okay, here's a great example of a student signature line. It has the student's name, it says Bachelor of Business Administration, Student Ambassador, so it has major and some kind of title. It has Stanford Graduate School of Business, and has where she's attending. There's a phone number, an email, and then there's some icons to some social media. The social media that we are looking at are professional social media though, so things like LinkedIn. You're not gonna wanna put like your Instagram there unless it's a professional Instagram. This one also has an award at the bottom, Young Entrepreneur Award 2021. Okay, it's kind of your place to be able to put all your little accolades, okay? It's your time to shine. You can do it in Google very easily under settings. You can also put different signatures, whether the person came from within your organization or from from outside of your organization, okay? So say they're someone from Carolina University, you may not want to put as much detail. If it's someone from outside of Carolina University, you can put more detail. Another tip, stay away from acronyms. Are you serious? LOL, I'll BRB, TTYL. I don't want to have to Google Urban Dictionary to read an email. I'm old, I don't know all of these. Texting is not emailing. They're very, very different. They should not be treated as equal, okay? Do not be overly casual. It's actually better to err on the side of being overly professional than overly casual. Okay, there are some acceptable acronyms, and most of these are business acronyms, okay? Something like ASAP, as soon as possible, okay? FYI, for your information. Typically, if something is sent FYI to you, they're not looking for a reply from you, okay? They're not looking for your input. They're sending it there for something that you know. COB is typically close of business. In the United States, typically that's 5 p.m. local time to whatever the organization is, okay? So when you're working across time zones, be careful. And also if you're working outside of the country, be careful, okay? RSVP, please reply. And regrets only means you need to only reply if you're not attending for some reason. Those are acceptable. I also would not suggest you put too many of those in one email, okay? Proofread your emails before sending. Look over your grammar and your spelling. Grammarly actually has an extension for Chrome that'll do this for you automatically in your emails. I think it underlines things that it thinks are wonky. I use it all the time. Also remember, spell check does not get everything, especially if you incorrectly spelled it and it is a word. Does anyone ever happen to that? It happens to me all the time. Yeah. So if you incorrectly type it, but it is actually a word in the dictionary, it's not going to find it at all. So be careful and reread it before you hit the send button. Send attachments that are easily accessible and recognizable, okay? Format it so that you can open it on any system. You do not know if your recipient has a Mac, an Apple, Windows. Mac and Apple are the same thing. Cell phone, tablet, Android. You don't know how they're going to try to open this attachment. Going back to our PDF discussion a couple weeks ago, PDF is always a good one. It can be opened on anything, including internet browsers. And do everyone a favor and rename the attachment so it means something. If I get a file and it's like WZX38_4.pdf, I have no idea what that is. If it says Gentry assignment 1.pdf, I know exactly what it is. And I'm more apt to trust one that doesn't have a weirdo name, okay? That it's not gonna be a virus or spam. Now, something we don't have to deal with too much in school, but outside of school, once you get out, be careful of anything confidential or classified or controversial. Okay? Professional emails are not the place for your opinion, your politics, your religion, things like that. Okay? Don't put into words things you don't want repeated, kind of that social media rule, right? Don't put it out there if you don't want it sent back to you. And keep things light and drama-free, okay? Sign off politely. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time. Kindest regards, cordially, sincerely, okay? Again, if you're dealing with across country lines, you might want to see what's acceptable in their country, okay? Kindest regards, a lot of times, is the most universally accepted sign off across country lines. So some tips and tricks I can give you by email. Number one, think about adding the email address last, okay? Do your subject, do your body, review it, add the recipient's email address, hit send. What's that gonna prevent? It's gonna prevent you from sending an email too early. Has anyone ever done that? Yeah. Or once you send it, you're like, huh, I should have spell checked that. I've done that before too, okay? So if you inadvertently hit the send button and no one's in the to field, it's just gonna give you an error and let you keep going, okay? Reply to emails as promptly as possible, okay? Allow at least 24 hours before you do a follow-up, okay? When we follow up, we also want to do that politely. Hey, did you see my email? Or professor, did you see my previous email? See below, okay? We don't want to be ugly about it. Here's an example of an email. Subject, unfair grade. There is a mistake on my grade for my paper. There is no way I deserved a D with about 8,000 exclamation points. I showed my paper to my mom and she said it was awesome. So I don't see how you think I should, S-H-O-O-D, get a D, another 5 exclamation points. All caps, I need to meet with you right away to get this straightened out, 2 more exclamation points. Bad, right? So number 1, there is 0 punctuation until they start yelling at me, right? There's no capitalizations until they start yelling at me as well. Okay? It's like one big sentence with incorrect words and misspellings. I don't like to judge people. It's something that I kind of pride myself on, but I know why you got a D. No? I mean, if I read that, I'd be like, yeah, you probably did get a D, right? That email looks like it came from somebody that their best effort is a D, right? What is this email going to do to the recipient? It's going to put your guard up, right? You're going to be like, now I'm going to be on the defensive as soon as you try to talk to me. And I'm going to sit there and go, did you read your own email? That looks like D work. Okay? Not a good one. Now, how could I say it in a better way? Subject matter, let's start out with that. Sociology 101, concerns about my paper. I know what subject you're in, and I know what you're going to talk about. The previous one was unfair grading, remember that? If I'm teaching more than one class, do I have any clue what class you're in? No. Dear Dr. Smith, this is Julia Miller from your sociology class, section 2. Remember we said give a short description of who you are, okay? That is more than sufficient, okay? I don't want your bio, I just want to know who you are. I was disappointed with the grade I earned on my last paper, and I'm writing to see if I can make an appointment with you for some extra help. You can see how that's completely different, right? I am free Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after 2 or Tuesday and Thursday before 10. Would one of these times be convenient for you? Thank you. Now, if I read this email, would I think that this person was a D student? No. Even just right off the bat, right? It's much more polite, it's inviting, it's starting a conversation, okay? Whereas when I read the other one, I was defensive, right? I was ready to go to fight, okay? This person's asking for help on how they can improve. They have some questions. Sure, I'll help you, not a problem, okay? Much better email to write, even if they have to do with exactly the same thing, okay? I have some examples here. Dear Professor, I'm working on a project in minimizing the risk in developing property. I'd like you to look at it and give me some feedback. Could you please get it back to me by Tuesday? So you asked me for your help, and then you gave me a deadline for that help. No, thank you. Okay, do you see how that kind of comes across? Better way. If you have time, would you mind taking a look at it and giving me some feedback? Okay. I'm especially concerned about blank. Okay. Now they also put the deadline closer to the top. I'm working on a project due next Tuesday. So now I am going to try to get you your help before next Tuesday because I know that's when it's due. But you've also kind of gotten me to the point where I only need to look at it, whatever that X concern is. I don't need to read the entire paper. Okay? For example, your life plan. You can send it to me and say, hey, can you take a look at this? I'm concerned about my mission statement. Okay? If you just say, hey, can you take a look at this? My OCD brain is going to look at punctuation, capitalization, spelling. It's going to look to make sure you answered all of the questions, right? When really you were just asking about the mission statement. Be specific. Does that make sense? It's going to help everybody. Dear Professor, I don't understand the lecture yesterday. I want to make an appointment with you tomorrow at noon so you can explain it to me. Okay, my first reply is going to be, I don't know what my schedule looks like tomorrow. I don't know if I can meet at noon. And do me a favor and go watch the lecture. Maybe it'll clear it up. Okay? Let's be a little bit more specific. I'm still a bit confused by aspects of the lecture yesterday about finance reform. Would it be possible to schedule an appointment with you this week to discuss it? I'm free either Tuesday or Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. Okay, you've now picked out a specific section of the lecture that you were not comfortable with, that you need a little bit more explanation. And you're not just saying, I didn't understand at all what you were talking about that whole day. You're also giving options for a meeting. It's always good to put multiple options out there. Now, some good examples. Explaining lateness. I'm writing to let you know that I'll be late for class because there's an urgent maintenance issue at my apartment. I apologize for the short notice. I'll be there by 2. Okay. Explaining an absence. I missed your class last week because of an illness. I've already talked to some of my classmates about the materials I missed, but I don't think I completely understand blank. Could I make an appointment with you to meet with you tomorrow and discuss it? Okay. Again, it's showing me what you've done to try to rectify the situation yourself. I did speak with classmates. I watched the video, but I'm still not comfortable with blank, okay? Few things to notice that were in those two. Don't ask for permission or ask if it's okay. These emails need to inform. You're not asking permission. We're all adults, okay? Inform the professor that you're not feeling well or you're not under the weather. I do not need a blow-by-blow of every detail of your sickness and your symptoms. Ew. Okay? I don't need to know that you had 103 fever until 2 a.m. and then you started throwing up everywhere. I really don't care. Just tell me you were sick. And that you're not coming to class so you don't infect all the rest of us. Okay? Keep details to a minimum. Appointment requests. Okay? After reviewing my notes on your lecture about blank last week, I still have some questions. Would it be possible to schedule a time to discuss? First is, I'm interested in a career in blank, and I know that you worked in this field. Can we make an appointment to talk about it? Okay, two very, very different appointments. Now, if you were just to email and say, Professor, can I make an appointment? You're wasting both of our times, and I mean that in a loving way, okay? So I don't want to waste your time. I want to be as prepared for our appointment as I possibly could be, okay? Therefore, if you say, notes on my lecture regarding X, I can pull that up and have it ready to go so that when you come into my office, we can discuss the topic that you intend to discuss. If you want to talk about careers, okay, that's shifting gears completely, right? I am more than happy to talk to you about corporate America. If you tell me that ahead of time, I can prepare better, okay? Please make sure you add in those emails why, okay? If you're asking for a favor or a question, so the first one, I really like the idioms part of your lecture, and I've recently finished a book. Do you have any further material regarding this topic? Okay? You're asking for a favor or a question. I would appreciate it if you can recommend something for me. The second one, I'm having problems with the financial report I'm working on, which is due in 2 weeks. I've already completed a portion of it, but I'm not sure what should be included in the summary. Attached is my draft and the worksheet. I was wondering if you could take a look at it and give me some suggestions. Again, going back to, okay, say the time management assignment we just turned in. I had a lot saying, can you help me with the time management? Okay, where do we start? What have you done? What do you need help on? Okay, do you not understand the assignment or do you not know what information to put in there? They're two different things. So being as specific as possible. Before you hit the send button, did you spell their name correctly? I've had my name spelled incorrectly. It really makes you want to roll your eyes and think it's like some auto bot sending you an email and it's spam. Okay. Number two, did you hit reply all instead of reply? Has anybody bitten down the reply all black hole? Yeah. And then you start talking about why everyone's hitting reply all. Yeah, it's terrible. You can actually get away from using the reply all. If you were to send an email message to a large group of people, use the BCC, that's the blind copy, okay? That way if your recipient were to hit the reply button, it's only gonna come back to you, okay? Replies do not go back to blind CCs, they go back to the twos and the CCs only, okay? Does your email look like a text message? Is it one sentence with a lot of acronyms, things that don't make sense? Did you use the spell check? Did you include a subject line? Is there greeting and closing? A big one that I get a lot of times. Have you answered the questions asked if you are replying? I might reply back to a student and say, what class are you in and which week are you referring to? And I get an answer back that says week 2. So then I have to reply back, well, which class are you on? Again, okay? You're just going through and wasting time. So take a half a second, go back, review the original email, make sure you've answered all of the questions that were being asked. And the last lovely one. Were you angry or upset when you wrote the email? No one would ever write an email angry or upset, right? Yeah, we all do, okay? Honestly though, what is your mental state while you're writing this email? Last week I was in a situation, I wrote a really nasty email. I didn't put a 2 on it. I sent it to one of my colleagues, not who it was intended for, by the way. And we had a really good laugh about it afterwards. I felt a whole lot better. I mean, the message I had never actually got to the intended recipient, but that's okay because I didn't look like an ass, right? I didn't get myself fired, so that was a big thing. Okay? If you feel like, y'all, I did that in the last class. You think I would like not hit the table? If you're writing an email and you think in any way, shape, or form it is coming out of a place of anger, put it in your drafts and wait 24 hours and go back and look at it again. You've had time to calm down. You've had time to see different aspects of the situation. You've gotten those feelings out onto that paper, so that's good, okay? Take a note, are you venting or is this actually constructive? Okay? When you're coming from a place of anger or you're upset, you're not actually going to be giving the best information that you have, okay? So take a minute and review it after you hit send. Be patient. Okay, emails are not going to be for time-sensitive issues. Okay, especially if it is after 5 p.m. on a weekday or on a weekend. Okay, don't expect your recipient to get that until the next working day. Okay, I get a whole lot of emails, especially on Sunday evening, and I wonder why. Because assignments are due. Okay? Panic emails. I've told you guys several times I have these 8 o'clock classes and I don't even get to my email on a working day until about 11:30. Okay? Do not expect to get an immediate answer. Follow up. Following up is acceptable as long as you do it in a polite, courteous way. Okay? Wait a few days, at least 24 hours. Okay? And then again, politely. Reply back to the original that you sent. Say, hey, professor, did you see this email below? I just had not seen a response yet. Do not create a whole new email and say, did you get my other email? Because I get those all the time. And honestly, my answer is I don't know. Because I don't know which email you're referring to, okay? There's a polite way to do it so that, again, you're giving constructive information in a good way, in a positive way. We've talked a lot about positivity in this class, right, with our strengths and everything else. We want to be just as positive in emails. We don't want to hide behind them. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a lot easier to be ugly when you're typing things out. Yeah? Does anyone agree with that? Because you're not saying that to that person face to face. I would not put anything in an email that I would not say to someone face to face. Okay? So think about that next time you read through your emails. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. So tomorrow we're going to talk about a little bit about online etiquette and online class etiquette. We're going to talk about Google on Wednesday. Thursday, we have Professor Newsom coming back in to help us again with our life plans. So we can hopefully get them handed in and cleaned up. And if there are no other questions, I'll see you guys